Welcome to Big Blend Radio with your hosts, Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazine.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to Big Blend Radio's Toast to the Art Show with Nancy and Lisa. You know, the crazy mother-daughter travel team and publishers of Big Blend Magazines. You can check it all out at BigBlendMagazines.com. Today we are excited to welcome back Lance Labor, the Tucson dude. Lance is the executive director of the DeGrazia-Gallery-In-the-Sun. And DeGrazia Gallery, if you go to Tucson, Arizona, you have to go. If you do not go to the gallery, we're going to come and get you. The gallery is awesome. It's a 10-acre historic landmark nestled in the foothills of the Santa Catalina Mountains. It was opened in 1965, but this is like one of the, there was many galleries involved in this, but it is home to over 15,000 originals of Ted-DeGrazia art pieces, including oil paintings, watercolors, ceramics, and sculptures. And so there's 6 permanent collections on display. Of course, you got to see the architecture too, all the Adobe architecture, and there's also the Mission as well that's on the property. But there's also a bunch of different exhibits that happen every year. And today, Lance is going to tell us about some of the brand new exhibits that will be running through the end of September. So, but everyone, the website is DeGrazia.org. But welcome back, Tucson dude. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Hey, it is spring in the desert. How is spring in Tucson? You know, we're a little homesick, you know.
It's awful nice today. It's not snowing. It's like 80 degrees. It's gorgeous. Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful. And soon your cactus garden at the gallery is going to be in bloom. You know, it's one of my favorite places.
That's what the tourists pay for.
Well, listen, this is so exciting because I know last time you were on the show, you just reopened, and you had been closed for a while because of COVID in 2020, so you're back open. Things are opening up across the country, and going to the gallery, I think the way the architecture of it, especially the main gallery, and then the property itself is pretty much a good place if you want to social distance. You can spread out inside the gallery and outside for people.
That's a very good point. It's quite open, you know. So it may be safer than being bottled up in a small room.
We don't want to be bottled up.
There's a lot of room. No, you don't.
No. But listen, Ted DeGrazia, you know, Nancy and I love his art. We love his independent spirit as an artist. He was very much a person that if I want to do this, I'm going to do it, right? So when I talked about the gallery opening in 1965, he had previous galleries, didn't he?
He had a gallery down in the middle of Tucson many years before, but he was a private guy. He didn't like the city encroaching on him, and so he went up in the foothills of the Catalina Mountains and bought some property up there and built his gallery up there. So there were two galleries.
Mm-hmm.
And there was also a gallery in Apache Junction, which is no longer there.
Well, we're going to have to go check it out. You know, we're following DeGrazia's footsteps as we travel the country. So by the time this airs, we might have been to Galveston, where he also did a wonderful painting, one of the permanent collections, Cabeza del Vaca. Did I say his name right?
No.
I hope I did. I never do it right.
Cabeza de Vaca.
There we go. We'll get it right one day. But it's an interesting story about this, you know, explorer coming ashore and then everybody getting off the boat and basically going across the desert and not in a very happy way. That was a sad tale and a real story.
Yeah, no, they all died. They all died except for Cabeza de Vaca and three of his shipmates.
Wow.
You know, 600 or 700 men died in the desert and died in the swamps and died of malaria, and they died of all kinds of things. But it was a very ill-fated journey.
Wow, it's amazing. So that is one of the exhibits that you'll see at the gallery. And also, again, the architecture is super cool. When he built this, he had the help of the locals, or the local peoples, Mexican and Native American, correct?
Yeah, well, mostly the Yaqui Indians and the Tohono O'odham Indians, his friends, helped him build the place. And of course, he designed it himself. He designed the gallery, almost 16,000 square feet, and he designed the Mission in the Sun, his little chapel. Yep, self-made architect.
And it's all adobe, and then the thing we love is the floors in the gallery, the cactus floors.
I love the floors.
Those cholla floors.
Yeah,
the
cholla floor, the cactus floor.
Yeah, people, you got to go see it. And so Ted DeGrazia, for those just for listening for the first time on this, I mean, Lance has been on the show for years, but everyone's new at some point, and Ted DeGrazia really is a prolific artist who was pretty much the most reproduced artist in the world. He's worked with Jose Del Roque. I'm going to get everyone's names wrong now. See, Diego Rivera, right?
Correct.
And Orozco out in Mexico.
Jose
Orozco.
Yes.
There it
Jose
is.
Clemente Orozco.
Oh, there it is. And,
wow.
I know. And Ditto had a great relationship with Arizona Highways. So they helped. Did they really help you? I know we've talked about that before, but did the magazine help him and he helped the magazine when they first started?
Pretty much, yeah. They complemented each other. When they started putting DeGrazia in Arizona Highways, tourists started taking notice. This was in the early 40s, and Arizona Highways about the same time DeGrazia did. So they complemented each other and helped each other grow.
That's
and
cool.
made each other quite huge.
It's very cool. And people, you got to go see it at the gallery. You'll see some of that. You can see a studio too. We love Nancy. I think you like it because there's like a spider on the door in the studio, and there's Chivas Regal in there.
It's just super creative. It's not like going to other galleries.
That's where all the abstract paintings are.
Oh. Okay, in his gallery. So everyone, the abstract paintings, this is a new exhibit that's up until September 21st. It's been going for a while, but so this was his master's thesis paintings?
There's a couple of paintings in there that are the master's thesis, which was when DeGrazia did his master's at the University of Arizona. He studied the relationship of color to sound, and he would play classical music and then paint it. And he would paint Brahms and Shostakovich and a whole host of classical artists. And there's a couple of them that are on display in there, along with some other just abstract paintings that had nothing to do with his thesis.
Oh, how interesting about them, because I know his thesis is even up on Wikipedia about doing that. And Nancy's always talking about that.
Yeah, I mean, that really is an amazing collection. His master's thesis. He did about, I want to say maybe 15 oils, and he did probably about that many watercolors, of all this classical music. And it's pretty interesting. Very interesting to see. I remember when his album came out, Please Remember Me, his son Domingo was involved with that, and his music's on there too. And you guys got, Tucson, was it the University Jazz Orchestra that came on board to record his music? The Tucson Jazz Academy.
Yeah, the Jazz Academy. And we're going to play Please Remember Me at the end of the segment here, but and the album is available through, DeGrazia.org on the online store, or go to the gallery and buy it there. But it's beautiful music. And he does have like a classical thing going. He's got jazz in there. Of course, Domingo brings in his flamenco guitar parts, but then there's also Mexican kind of style music. So it's really this collection. It's a beautiful album. But I remember when you had the exhibit come out, when the album came out, you had the exhibit of music. And so it kind of ties in. Some of them remind me of his abstract paintings. So it's kind of interesting that he really got into the whole music, and then you have the exhibit Celestial Music that's also on display until September 21st. So this is really about the angels playing music.
Yeah, we just put this one up, and it's angels playing instruments or pointing record phonographs at you. It's pretty interesting. They're flying around playing cellos, and they're playing violins and trumpets, and there's a whole bunch of them.
And banjos.
Some of them have wings, and some of them don't.
Ooh. That's interesting. But the banjos, I wouldn't think of an angel playing a banjo. That's a whole other deal.
Come on. Why not?
Well, you wouldn't think of an angel flying around holding a record player either.
Yeah, really.
No.
But they are.
Cool. That's
well,
funny.
Hey, listen, Lance, when we're all gone, we're going to become angels. I wonder what we're going to be carrying around with us. I'll be like
a glass of wine.
Listen, I can only hope that I'm going to be an angel when I'm gone.
Like that's a good assumption. I'm like, really? I get to be an angel?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
you turn it. That's cool.
I'm a realist. I know where I'm heading.
Well, listen, the angel thing though is cool because, the whole thing about an angel sitting on your shoulder. So, DeGrazia's angel with the record player could be sitting on the shoulder of someone saying, "Listen, you really need to listen to this music. You're listening to all the wrong stuff. This is the stuff you need to hear." You know what I mean? Angels are supposed to guide you.
These are very colorful paintings. Most of them are oils, and they are really colorful. Very uplifting collection, I should say.
So, do you think DeGrazia himself was ultra religious, or he just decided to have a chapel or mission? And
DeGrazia was very religious in his own way. He did not believe in going to church. He wasn't a church-going man. Well, he built his own church.
Yeah.
And that's the church that he attended. It was his own church. But, being Italian and being Catholic, it all kind of flows. It all goes together. I'm sure he was brought up very religious and stayed that way. He painted the Way of the Cross.
Right, the Way of the Cross, that's on display. That's an annual tradition because if you don't do that, man, people are going to come at you.
People do come at me. But I learned my lesson, so we keep it up. We keep it up as long as we can.
Yeah, so you keep that up pretty much a couple months after Easter, right? It stays up.
Yes.
Through the spring. Yes. Through the spring. But going back to, DeGrazia and religion, I know we've been in the nuns' quarters. What's up with him and the nuns?
Hello.
There was the Benedictine sisters. Whether he befriended them or they befriended him, I don't know. But there was a lot of sisters that used to visit the gallery. They loved the gallery, partly because of the Way of the Cross, but they just all loved DeGrazia. And they would come to visit, especially from California. And he would let them stay in the nun's house. And
cool.
They would autograph the door. Sister Mary was here. And, he would paint little things on the wall. And so that's an interesting place, too.
That's cool. To me, it's interesting about the nuns and the history of Tucson because there were nuns that were went St. Mary's hospitals, all about nuns and how they came across the desert to Tucson. They went to Yuma, and they went in a covered wagon. These nuns, way back when. And it's like during the territorial days, and I can't tell the story properly, but I have a historian, Jen Clear, who can. But that's how I first learned about him, and I was like, no way. It's when we first moved to Tucson and reading her book about women of Arizona, historic women of Arizona, and there's all these nuns that came across in the desert. Like, imagine wearing the nuns' habits and riding in through the desert in a wagon. I mean, come on, that's some hardcore stuff. So it's interesting, and I know with Ted DeGrazia, with his whole history of following Father Kino, So it's kind of, I think he's into the stories too in some way. I think the stories that come from the Bible and from religion probably fascinated him, and the traditions were fascinating for him.
Yeah, well, this is true, and I mean, I believe that people that were really special, like Kino, like Father Kino, I think DeGrazia looked up to them. He looked at them as a big part of history. That they settled the Southwest. He settled the Southwest and northern Mexico, and he saw it as a very wonderful story, and probably felt a kinship with Father Kino and some of these other people.
Awesome.
DeGrazia was a little bit of a pioneer in the Southwest too. So anybody with that pioneering spirit, I think he had a lot of respect for.
With that book that he wrote on Father Kino, where he was like, it was like a fantasy fiction in a way. Like it was so cool. He was a writer too. I mean, he was a storyteller, and whether it was through music,
he was
art,
a storyteller.
His writing, too. I loved his books. I was like, dude, this guy's tripping out, man. This is some cool stuff. And like just reading it, it's like, I think he really he wanted people to understand the desert. I think he was really a storyteller.
He wanted people to understand the desert, and he wanted people to buy his art.
Yeah, that's true too.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, I want to go to the other exhibit. I find this fascinating. Nancy, I think we've interviewed maybe one or two egg tempera artists. It's hard to find artists that work in egg tempera, traditional egg tempera, and so he did that too, and I did not know this. I mean, this is ancient.
Yeah. Now, my knowledge of egg tempera is very general, so I'm not speaking from a place of knowledge here. I do know it's very old, and I know that several hundred years ago they developed slow drying oils that replaced the tempera. Because over the years, I think the tempera had it faded a little bit, but it was still a very durable paint. And DeGrazia was the ultimate experimenter. He tried everything, and he tried everything more than once, and to see see what kind of effects he could get. And there was a couple of years, I believe it was 59 and 60, that he really worked on the tempera. And he did about 12 or 15 paintings. A lot of them were on wood.
The egg tempera thing, I remember in art college when we had to mix our own paints, and the assignment was, here's your colored chemicals, really, or minerals and stuff, and mix it with egg, but they didn't tell you whether it was egg white or egg yolk. And I remember most of us got it wrong because we all just went, oh, it's going to be the egg whites.
And it was the yolk.
It's the yolk. And we're like, that makes no sense. But that's what you mix. It's egg yolk and then your powdered colors. And
right.
Yeah, and then you can make them, if you're going to go watercolor-wise, you can make them really soupy. But you have to layer everything to even get the color to finally really be what you want. It's just so layered. I don't remember the paintings really being very fragile either, but like you'd think.
Well, it's a really a durable paint.
Yeah.
But time marches on, and people invent things, and things get better and different. So it's a process that's not used much.
So this is cool that he has these paintings, that you guys are able to save them, and So this is when between 1959 and 1960 that he did these. I mean, think about that. I mean, that's like 80 years ago. 60 years ago.
Yeah.
I can count. 60 years ago, so they're still there. That's cool. Lance, this is awesome. So there's a lot to do. There's 3 new exhibits, The Way of the Cross for the next couple months after Easter. And that's an annual thing, so you may be listening to this in August, right? And just know to plan on that exhibit being there back in the spring in 2022. But Lance, thank you so much for joining us. We can't wait. We're going to see you sometime this year. If we go anywhere in the Southwest, we have to come, and because we're going to come see you and see the gallery. But Nancy wants to take a sip out of that Chivas Regal bottle in his gallery, his studio.
She's welcome to do it anytime. It's age.
It's age. Probably
Cool.
everything's evaporated, But we want to close with Please Remember Me, the title track to the album, as we were talking about earlier. Again, go to DeGrazia.org for everything. And, of course, keep up with us at Big Blend Radio. Just go to BigBlendRadio.com. We want to thank everyone for joining us. And thank you, Lance. It's always cool to chat with a Tucson dude.
See you guys. Thanks a lot for having me. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Take care.
Yeah, here it is.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.